okay. So that happened. Thank you so much for starting this journey with me and helping my channel to grow. You are all massively appreciated. I'm so glad that you're all here, and I cannot wait to see where my channel goes from here. It's kind of weird, but I was hoping that I would hit 1,000 in October so I could do like a special 1,000 subscribers spooky themed type of video, which I guess I can still do now. I wasn't planning on hitting it so soon, so like I don't have anything planned. I actually really wanted to get a horror themed tattoo once I hit 1,000, maybe something like this, or do something like this. But Miss Rona shut down all the tattoo shops, so I don't think that's an option. So if you guys have any ideas for my 1,000 subscribers special, like if you guys want like a Q&A, if you're curious to know about me or something, not that anyone would care about that, but like if you have other suggestions, I'm all ears. Anyways, jumping into today's video. Hi, my lipstick is about to be gone. I simply just didn't want it on my face anymore. No particular reason, so I'm sorry if that's jarring. Today, yes, absolutely. I'm gonna be comparing Ringu from 1998 to The Ring from 2002. Ringu received a 97% on Rotten Tomatoes and The Ring received a 71%, and I will just read off a basic synopsis because they're both roughly the same movie. When her niece is found dead along with 3 friends after viewing a supposedly cursed videotape, a reporter sets out to investigate. Along with her ex-husband, she finds the tape, watches it, and promptly receives a phone call informing her that she'll die in a week. Determined to get to the bottom of the curse, they discover the video's origin and attempt to solve an old murder that could break the spell. So generally for my movie reviews, I'll do a bunch of fun facts and then I'll get into my thoughts about the movie. However, in this video, I'm just gonna kind of jump straight into my comparisons, and I'm gonna be talking about like the lead actresses, the mood, the cinematography, the tape, the plot, things like that. But actually, before I jump in, I just want to let you guys know why I'm making this video. So people who have already been following me know that The Ring is one of my favorite horror movies of all time, but I had actually never watched the original Japanese version before, which now after watching the original for the first time just a couple of nights ago, that feels like a crime. This feels like something I should have done long ago. Because for all these years, I've loved The Ring. I just posted a stack on my Instagram about my Ring collection. I have the DVD and the VHS copy of it, so I love it a lot. But now Shudder recently put all the original Japanese Ring movies on there, and so I'm finally able to actually watch them for free-ish, because I pay for Shudder, but like they're, you know, I have Shudder, so it's like free. So after I watched it, I was like, wow, masterpiece. I need to compare these two movies. So let's just jump right into it. I think the first thing that I want to talk about is the actual tape itself. Honestly, I didn't really care for the Japanese version that much. It didn't feel that stylized to me, whereas in The Ring, it feels very much like an experimental film that's very stylized and very specific to one like artist. In Ring, it was kind of more just like a hodgepodge, and it was a little bit less coherent to me, whereas in The Ring, that video actually like had so many Easter eggs in it and so many little moments that alluded to things that were gonna happen in the movie, which I love. I love making connections like that. I love when directors think to do things like that. And it's not to say that they didn't do that in Ring, I just don't think that they did it to the extent or nearly as successfully as they did it in the American version. And I just found the American version to be a lot more creepy and a lot more unsettling. This is probably also because there were like bugs in it and stuff like that. It just had some more elements that Ring's video did not. Next, I want to talk about the lead characters. So we have our reporter, we have the ex-husband, and we have the child. In both movies, I felt like the bond between mother and son lacked chemistry and was just a little bit offbeat. However, in the American version, I just feel like it was a little bit more intentional. I feel like Rachel was portrayed more as like a workaholic, someone that was really passionate about their job, was really involved with their job and less so with their child. Whereas with Asakawa, I didn't get that same energy from her, and yet there was still kind of a disconnect with her and her child, and it wasn't totally clear to me why. So I feel like the remake just kind of filled in those gaps for me a little bit more. I also found Naomi Watts' performance to be a little bit better, but this is a little bit complicated, and here's why. I'm obviously not a native Japanese speaker. I'm not fluent in the language. I don't know anything about it. So the actress that plays Asakawa is Nanako Matsushima, and I felt that at times her performance was a little bit too dramatic. It was borderlining on cheesiness just because it felt really over the top to me at certain moments. But here's the thing, because the language barrier comes into play, because as someone who doesn't know the first thing about the Japanese language, I don't know what the natural fluctuations are. So for someone that actually speaks Japanese, she could have been acting that phenomenally and like doing all the fluctuations just right and like hitting all the right beats. As an English speaker, speaker for me, I perceived it to be a little bit overacted, but that opinion isn't super valid because again, I don't speak Japanese. You feel what I mean? I also was already biased just given the fact that I love Naomi Watts and her performance in The Ring anyways. Moving on to the character of the ex-husband, I did not find him to be very likable in Ring. He seemed a little bit more curmudgeon-y, a little bit more grumpy, whereas in The Ring, I felt like he was a super charismatic guy and there was still kind of like a flame, like there was a spark between them still and they still had chemistry regardless of splitting up. Like you could feel that they had that history even before they revealed that like they did have a son together, and I love the way that they played off of each other. And again, I'm wondering if the language barrier is like coming between me and seeing the chemistry between Asakawa and her ex-husband for me. I'm not sure, but I just felt like there was more chemistry in the American version with that couple. Now on to the next character, the son. I think that both of those young boys were actually very talented. They both had this kind of like dry, monotone delivery that was really interesting because they both seemed a great deal older than they actually were. I think that the talent is pretty equivalent. I will say I think that the American son is a little bit creepier than the Japanese son. The American son also seems to be a little bit more involved. I don't know, I feel like he had more screen time in the American one, which I liked because I feel like there was more character development with Rachel and kind of not exactly coming to terms with being a mother, but like coming to terms with what being a mother means and what kind of love you're supposed to give your child. I feel like that was a lot more emphasized in the American version than it was in the Japanese version. I didn't really pick up on that at all. There actually like wasn't really a ton of character development in Ring. Sorry, sometimes I'm switching back and forth between saying Ring and Ringu. Those are the same thing, but when I say The Ring, I mean the American version. Apologies. Okay, so now for the explanation of the curse and the explanation of Samara. For me personally, the setting of the little island and the farm was like far more creepy and far more intriguing to me than the like weird kind of flashbacks that we saw in Ringu. Because in The Ring, you have this whole added element of this psychiatric ward that Samara was in, where she never slept, where she was interviewed, where she did all this weird stuff. And also, Samara's powers were never really fully explained. There was something dark in this little girl. That to me was far more intriguing than a girl who was just simply explained as having the ability to kill people with her mind. I still think it was really well done. I just didn't really like those like black and white flashbacks as a mode of storytelling as much. That felt a little bit out of place. I feel like the briefer colored flashbacks that we have in The Ring made a little more sense, but that's also kind of just a style preference, huh? I do think that the climax and the ending with the ex-husband dying was done pretty well in Ringu. I love the way that her fingernails were missing when she crawled out of the TV, and I also kind of preferred the fact that she didn't have that weird kind of staticky quality to her. She looked more like a real human being that like just teleported through the TV. On the other hand though, that did make her feel a little bit less mystical, a little bit less like an entity and more just like a human, which is a little bit less intriguing to me, I'm not gonna lie. But also that very last shot before Josh dies where like Samara's face is revealed, she doesn't look like a child to me, and I've never loved that moment, you know what I mean? Okay, next topic is very brief, but the suspense in both of these movies. I think that Ringu was a lot more suspenseful. I started it at like 10:30 at night and I was by myself and I had to turn it off after like 45 minutes because I was starting to get too scared. And that's saying something because I knew where the story was going because I had already seen The Ring. I think it's something about the way that the people's faces were formed when they died that did something to me in Ringu, because in The Ring it's not super realistic. Their faces are like super messed up and weird, whereas in The Ring they just looked like someone that has been shocked to the point of death, like you know, and that worked more for me. That was scarier to me. And so when they started showing the bodies being found and stuff, that's when I was like, oh my god, like I had to finish it in the morning. Although the first time that I watched The Ring, oh my god, I don't know if I'd ever been so scared by a horror movie before. But both of the movies amp up the suspense a lot, especially if it's your first time seeing them and you don't know what's gonna happen. Anxiety. So both movies did a great job on that. Now for my last topic, this is a big one because this basically covers why I love The Ring so much. The mood and the coloring of The Ring. I will never get over it. It's so gorgeous, and the composition of the shots is just, it's so good. I've talked about Gore Verbinski on my channel before because I just love his work so much, and this like bluish greenish gray tint that he has on this entire movie, I just hadn't seen another movie colored like this before. I mean, I guess actually the first Twilight movie does have this same coloring, and it's very relaxing, it's very nice. But seriously, the composition and the depth in some of the shots in The Ring and the coloring, you guys, I cannot stress to you enough how much I love the style of this movie. Obviously, the original Ringu is not shot in this style, it's not colored in this style, and it took some of the magic away from me, honestly, I'm not gonna lie. It was still shot really well though. I'll put up a side by side so you can see kind of like the comparison of the composition of the shots. This just has everything to do with your style preferences and not so much on like the plot or the movie itself. So let me know which one you prefer. I think that kind of wraps up my thoughts on the comparison. I loved Ringu. Like, don't get me wrong, I was very impressed. I'm bummed it took me this long to watch it, but I'm so glad that I finally did. But if you couldn't tell, I do still heavily prefer the American version. But the American version's sequel is garbage. So I am really curious to know what Ringu's sequel is gonna be like, the Japanese sequel. I'm absolutely gonna watch that, and I'll probably do another comparison video because I'm gonna be starting kind of like a shorter mini series on my channel comparing Japanese movies to their American counterparts. So the only other videos I have planned for this are comparing Tale of Two Sisters to The Uninvited and Ju-on Origins to The Grudge. A Tale of Two Sisters is on Shudder if you have Shudder right now, and then Ju-on Origins is free on Tubi. I'm also selling this DVD of The Grudge on my Depop. If you want to follow me over there, it's at Kai Johns. I'm selling all of these movies on there actually, so definitely follow me and check it out. Also right now, I am in the middle of watching Ratched, and oh, I'm loving it. I'm halfway through it now, and so I'm gonna be finishing it this weekend probably. So either next week or the week after that, I will be giving you guys my full thoughts on Ratched, because I'm not sure if next week I want to do my thrifted video reviews or wait to do that another week and do Ratched first. You let me know. You let me know what you would like. So on that note, I think I'm gonna wrap up the video. If you want to follow me on social media, like I just said, my Depop is at Kai Johns. So is my Letterboxd, my Instagram, and my Twitter account, and my Letterboxd is where I talk about movies that I don't intend on reviewing on this channel. My Instagram is where I tell you guys what movie I'm watching so you can watch it too, just in case I do a review of it. And I also post other horror movie news, and I've been getting really into posting my horror movie stacks recently. I actually posted my Ring collection stack last week. So if you're into any of that, follow me on social media. My Twitter is mainly for activism, so I don't know how interested you'll be in that. But as always, check out the petitions, the GoFundMe's linked down below. I update those every single week. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I hope I catch you in the next one. Bye!